Hello again, everybody, and welcome to 4-Star Chicago Sports. This is the Northside 9, and in the batter's box is the 2026 MLB season. We're going to take a look at the almost final roster for the Chicago Cubs, not completely finalized yet. And then we're going to get into some predictions, take a look all around the league, give out some early awards, and then we'll revisit this back in October. But for the next hour and a half, join us. Let's have some fun.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars align. Dynasty dreams rise, Bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot down heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawks flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the Southside parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago.
Hello again, everybody, and baseball is back. That's right, the Cubs will wrap it up with 2 against the Yankees Monday and Tuesday before they fly home to Chicago and open it up against the Washington Nationals. Kyle, are you ready for some baseball?
Sean, I couldn't be more ready, man. You know I'm not as big of a college basketball guy as you are. And the Hawks are kind of depressing. The Bulls are depressing. We need some Cubs baseball in our lives, man.
Yeah. Hey, Foster, welcome. Thanks for joining us, brother. Great show. I couldn't join you live on Thursday, but I checked it out a little bit afterwards, and we're going to get into some of those things with you guys on the Bears podcast next week because you guys had a fun show on Thursday. But as we get into this baseball thing here, just a couple of quick notes. As we stated, the roster is not finalized. It does appear that Seiya Suzuki is going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. For me, opening against Washington, Cleveland, and Tampa before we get into the division against Pittsburgh doesn't bother me. Get him healthy. It does look like Michael Conforto, the 33-year-old veteran outfielder, entering his 11th season of Major League Baseball, spent last year with the Dodgers, hit 199 with 12 home runs and 36 RBIs. Is going to be the beneficiary of this DL stint for Seiya Suzuki, who was out in a specialized knee brace on the field today. They asked the head coach, manager, excuse me. I'm in college basketball mind. They asked our manager, Craig Counsell, about it, and they said it was a specialized fit to help him repair. He's going to be wearing it. He may even wear it when he returns to baseball is what I kind of took away from that. Not sure how that's going to go. But yeah, definitely Slim Boogie. We're going to talk about that. We got a couple of great starts to talk about. Cade Horton, his last 2, 13 strikeouts over his last 2, including a humdinger last Monday where he struck out 10. We got some highlights of that coming up. Kyle, they also made a decision on Jonathan Long. He didn't make the club. He was a last minute. They sent him back down today, the 22nd AAA. The bullpen kind of took shape. 1 spot still remaining. Ryan Rolson, Jack Neely, Luke Little have all been optioned, while Porter Hodge and Jordan Wicks, as we discussed right here on the Northside 9 last week, will open up the season on the IL. Now we have 2 familiar faces battling for that last spot. Kyle, it's Gavin Holloway and Ben Brown. I think we know which way the scales are going to tip here. I'm kind of surprised the decision wasn't made, but he has until Thursday, at 11 a.m. to finalize the roster. What do you think about that bullpen and the way it shapes up? Obviously, we know the big guys are here.
Yeah, I like it, Sean. I mean, we already talked about it last week. Basically, everything we thought was going to happen was basically happening. I think Ben Brown is definitely going to get that last spot because he's more versatile. You can use him in a bunch of different ways. But yeah, I mean, from the offseason additions, I'm liking the way that the bullpen's shaping out. I still think that the Cubs at some point this season are going to either bring somebody up like a Jackson Wiggins or add somebody via the trade to that bullpen. But it looks much better than it did last year to start the season. Although we had some pleasant surprises last year.
Yeah. And I forgot about these 2 roster moves. Colin Schneider, Corbin, Jonathan Long is on there, and Corbin Martin, 2 other pieces of the bullpen that the Cubs used this offseason. They signed Corbin Martin, of course, the former second-round pick, 56th overall by the Houston Astros back in 2017 out of Texas A&M. The right-hander was sent down I don't know what they're planning to get out of this guy. He does have the death ball, features a four-seam fastball that averages about 95 and 96. He's paired with a slider and curve. 75 career innings pitched, 654 in run average, and a career 185 whip. Colin Schneider, the other right-hander reliever, of course, he was also spent last season with the Seattle Mariners, pitched to a 547 clip in 24, and at the end of 25, he came in and had some mop-up duty. But in 128 Major League games, 448 career and run average, 146 whip, four-seam fastball sweeper, moving away sinker, heavy approach. So two other guys. We're going to get into some of these bullpen pieces here that could be called up in case we face anything. But when it comes down to Gavin Holloway, we saw him last year in Ben Brown. I think, are we both on the same page here? We want Ben Brown in this bullpen open the season.
Oh, 100%, Sean. I mean, if not in the bullpen, then it's maybe your six-man in the rotation as a starter. But yeah, definitely on the roster for sure. Ben Brown has to, if he can continue to perfect that third pitch, or at least make it somewhat enticing to the batter, and he just continues to grow off those, gets better with those two pitches he's been pitching his entire career. I think he's going to be one of the best pitchers on the Cubs at some point. He's just got to get more consistent, man. But when Ben Brown's, we talked about this last week, so I don't want to dive too deep into it, Sean, but when Ben Brown's hitting his locations, he is a damn good pitcher.
Yeah. And Lindsay, if you're still around by the time we make our predictions, I think you're going to like what I say about your team just a little bit down the road, because I got a sleeper in the Central, baby, and it just might be those Kansas City Royals. I think I might have a Rookie of the Year on those Royals too. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Kyle, I spent some time today because I was thinking that Shota's a lefty. And as we break down this roster, we're going to get into the lineup and how to plug some of these holes. Unfortunately, Kevin Alcantara will spend time in AAA, which I think is good for him, getting at bats and getting some experience. But one advantage that I looked at today was, man, when Justin Steele returns to this rotation, the Cubs could possibly have a very left-handed heavy rotation. You're already going to be featuring two to start the season, and then you add Justin Steele in. This is kind of crazy. And a rotation built around multiple left-handed starters can provide a meaningful strategic edge for the Cubs, largely due to the uncommon left-handed pitching across baseball, with roughly 75% of major league pitchers throwing from the right hand. Simply seeing lefties, you just don't see him as often. So that unfamiliar combined with different release angles, pitch movement that breaks in the opposite direction can give left-handed pitchers hand up on these predominantly right-handed lineups and force managers in series to make some uncomfortable changes. I really didn't realize until I got into this and really dug into this, the advantage that left-handers actually give the Cubs. The advantage is amplified by just the natural platoon dynamic, because most hitters are predominantly right-handed in baseball. So now you're opposite side of the plate. You're creating tougher at-bats as the pitches move away from barrels with unique angles and attack to disrupt the timing, lead to weaker contact, increased swing and misses. Lefties also bring the value of control by control in the running game by facing first base more, easily managing those base runners with deceptive pickoff moves. From a roster construction standpoint, for me, leaning on left-handed starters can also preserve some left-handed relievers. You can preserve some left-handed relievers for high-leverage situations late in matchups rather than require them to cover earlier innings. Kyle, what are your thoughts on having this predominantly dominant left-handed rotation going into this season? Mm-hmm. Or not, I shouldn't say going into, it will become.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be an advantage for the Cubs. Obviously, historically, batters have struggled more with lefties than they have righties, and I think that's just due to the fact that they just don't see as many of them. But at the end of the day, Sean, I think you need to rely more on talent than regardless of which arm they use. I mean, it's definitely something I haven't seen on the Cubs in a while, and it's something I think they could definitely take advantage of. But for the most part, you should rely on talent.
Yeah,
I mean, you could have 5 left-handed pitchers, but if they all suck, guess it really doesn't matter.
Well, I will say this because we were all worried about Shota. It seems like Shota is starting to ramp it up a little bit here. His last 2 spring outings have been very reminiscent to the beginning of 2025 when he was dominant from the left-hand side of the mound, and he's looked that way in his last 2 starts. Shota Imanaga seems to be coming into form. Excuse me. He's becoming into form right at the right time. Now, Craig Counsell has not announced his rotation going into the season outside of who he was opening the season with our man Matthew Boyd. Now we do feel I do feel that you got your opening day starter Matthew Boyd, Cade Horton kind of had a breakout at the end of 2025 second half after he got the call up due to injuries. I expect him to be a premier pitcher. You have Shota, I believe, is going to return to giving us some quality starts throughout the season. And then Edward Cabrera, the big offseason acquisition. I just think this guy is all aces, man. He got rocked up a couple of starts ago. We talked about that. He gave up, 4 home runs in 4 innings. But we're going to get into this because I'm not even buying into any of this. Then any of these struggles besides Jameson Taillon, which we will continue to talk about here. He does scare me a little bit. The bullpen, Daniel Palencia, setup relief, Hunter, Henry, Phil Maton, Holby Miller, Caleb Theobar, Jacob Webb, Colin Ray is going to be your swingman. And of course, Javier Assad, also probably a swing, can eat up some big innings for you if the starters get in trouble. Kyle, what's your favorite part of this rotation?
Rotation or the bullpen?
Both.
I mean, Sean, the rotation would be obviously the addition of Cabrera, and now you put him next to Cade Horton in any particular order. I don't really care. I think that the Cubs really do have 2 true aces. And then if Justice Steele comes back healthy and he continues to pitch like he did a couple of years ago, I think the Cubs rotation got a lot better this offseason. Especially, Sean, we've talked about it before. I think Cabrera has potential to be much better than he's been so far. And if anybody can get it out of him, it's Tommy Ottavy, one of the best pitching coaches in all of baseball. And when it comes to the bullpen, Sean, you finally have 2 really, really high leverage shutdown guys, and Hunter Harvey and Daniel Palencia, and you just hope that one of those other guys, Phil Maton or Hobie Miller, you hope one of those guys can have a sub-3 ERA and could be their 7th inning guy. I'm assuming that eventually Harvey and Palencia will be the 8th and 9th. That's my guess, because I think Harvey has the highest ceiling of all of them. I mean, it was a very small sample size, but 12 innings pitched last year, he had a 0.0 ERA. If he continues to do that, he's definitely going to be the 8th inning guy for sure. I mean, just shut. You know what? I talked about this last week. You know what the most exciting thing about this Cubs pitching situation is? It's just the depth. It's just the depth, man. I mean, the Cubs were banged up so much last season. They had so many injuries. They have so many guys now who are capable of coming in here and picking up a game or two. You talk about Colin Ray. He looked great at times last year. We've already talked about Ben Brown and nauseum. I think his ceiling is much higher than we've seen. Javier Assad has certainly looked good in the World Baseball Classic. He's been good since he joined the Chicago Cubs. I think he's actually one of the most underrated pitchers in all of baseball. And then you talk about those 4 right there, Sean, those 4 additions right there. I think the Cubs did a really good job building this bullpen in the offseason. Obviously, as a big market team, you'd like to see them add guys like more flamethrowers, more shutdown guys. Yeah, but it's a good start, and it's something to build off of. And remember, guys, the Cubs farm system still has a lot of talent there. So if you absolutely need to make a trade in the middle of the season to add to this bullpen, they have plenty of firepower to do so. I mean, you talk about guys like Jonathan Long, James Trianto. I think these guys are available.
Yeah, we're going to get into a couple of other guys. I'm wondering what the development plan is for a couple of these guys, especially Jackson Wiggins, Jefferson Rojas. Like I said, we're definitely going to get into some of these guys as we get into our minor league system here in just a few minutes. I think my biggest thing, and I just want to tell Cubs fans, I know that the pitching hasn't been great. The earned run averages, Horton 591, Cabrera 635, Shota 485, Boyd 868, Taillon 1755. I'm going to let you guys know this. Last year, Boyd 659, Taillon 675, Ray 736, coming out of spring training. And then we're going to look at 5 all-stars, 2 who had 3 2 others who had 3 sub-3 earned run averages, and one of these guys had an 0.8 earned run average through the entire playoffs. You're talking about Perfetta having an 825, Crochet 736, Abbott 1296, BB 665, Saki 1350, Luis Castillo 1080, Logan Webb 675, Frank Gore 75. I guess basically what I'm getting at is translation. I don't know that any of what happens in spring training matters when you look at some of these guys that are just getting rocked and getting shelled. I'm more than the only guy, and we talked about him last week, and I don't know that I want to give him a pass. It's just more concerning because his velocity didn't come up. And we talked about it last week. I like the fact that Shota's velocity actually did go up 2 miles per hour. Well, Taillon's went down 2 miles per hour. So Taillon scares me just a little bit. It looks like he'll be rounding out the rotation as the 5 guy this year. And as we talked about the left-handed pitchers, if you get Taillon, if you put Justin Steele in here and you have Shota, how do you start and Matthew Boyd? How do you start breaking these guys up in a series? Because you don't want to go 3 lefties in a row unless you're heavy left-handed lineup or something. That's going to be the interesting makeup. Maybe they go to a 6-man rotation. But once all 3 lefties are healthy and all 3 lefties are pitching in this rotation, it does make things a little bit difficult for the Cubs. What are your thoughts on that, and how would you manage that?
To be honest with you, Sean, I think Craig Counsell will figure it out, man. I mean, I don't unless it's totally going to come down to the lineup, the opposing lineup. I mean, it's tough to predict right now, but I know that Craig Counsell has always been good with pitching. He's always been good at managing bullpens. Always been good at managing rotations. If anybody can figure it out, it's him, man. I'm not going to read too much, and like I said, into the left-handed, right-handed stuff. I know it does make a difference. I know it has an impact on this team, but I think eventually Craig Counsell will find the right rotation, man. Here's the question, Sean. Do you think this is going to be a 6-man rotation for any big chunk of the season? I think it probably will.
I think
if it is, you can start moving these guys around a little bit because they're still going to get their 4 or 5 days off.
Yeah, I think that's going to be important, especially when you look at kind of how Matthew Boyd kind of broke down towards the end of the year. Now, he pitched a fantastic game against the Brewers in the playoffs, but going into the playoffs, he kind of showed some fatigue. You kind of had that out of Shota. Shota, either he never was 100% coming back from that injury, but, he lost some velocity on his fastball and was leaving a lot of things hanging, and he looked a little worse for wear towards the end of the year. So I do think having a Ben Brown, having a Colin Ray, being able to stretch these guys out, Justin Steele being able to come back here and, mid to late May, early June, as he stated out of himself, is his game plan to make it back. I think this is fantastic.
Javier Assad.
Javier Assad, as Slim Boogie said, I think one of the best things about this team, and you just stated, Kyle, is the depth in pitching. I think it was a weakness last year as we were scratching our heads many times with these injuries, just like, holy shit, what are we going to do? We're missing this guy. I think you're going to count on a lot of these guys, and they're going to be a lot fresher come October, late September, October this year. So it's a good problem to have, that's for sure, because if we know one thing for certain, there's going to be injuries in 162 baseball games. Yeah. And that brings me to my next point. Where are you with Cade Horton? Now, we're going to look, we understand the elite talent, and I'm going to throw some film up here. This was his 10 strikeout performance on Monday. He was painting the corners, getting whiffs, swings, and this guy was just unhittable the other day. Came back today, went, 6 innings, struck out 3, no runs, so 13 strikeouts over his last couple of games here. His arsenal is unbelievable when it comes to what he brings to the table. My biggest concern, in this game, he featured his four-seamer, his changeup. They were both cooking on Monday. My worry is he's been injured. He's been injured his first year in the minors, his second year in the minors, and then he got injured when we needed him the most last year. I'm not saying that he's not a durable cat, but it's starting to be a question in my head if this is going to be the future ace of the Cubs, if this guy can stay healthy. Is this a major concern for you, losing Cade Horton like we did last year for any amount of time?
Well, at this point, Sean, when it comes to Major League Baseball, I almost expect for most of these guys to spend a small stint on the IL. Unless you're talking about something like substantially long, like if you're talking about 2 or 3 months, that would be concerning for sure. But if it's just a couple weeks, we just talked about the depth on this team. You talk about guys like Ben Brown, you talk about Colin Ray, you talk about Javier Assad. I think it's certainly something the Cubs can survive. Now, if you're talking about, Sean, just the overall health of Cade Horton as a baseball player, yeah, it's starting to become a little concerning. It's kind of the same conversation we have with Kyler Gordon, absolutely amazing player. Just his biggest problem is those injuries. And I'm hoping that if the Cubs can stretch this out to a 6-man rotation for a big chunk of the season, that'll help keep a lot of these guys healthy. And or even if not, Sean, like you said earlier, it doesn't necessarily even have to be health, but just fresh. Matthew Boyd was never really banged up at any point last season, but you could definitely tell that the season was taking a toll on him for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most pitches or the most innings he's ever pitched, correct?
So.
I mean, the same could be said for Cade Horton. Maybe if he's just not used to throwing those 200 innings, whatever. Maybe you just make it a 6-man rotation, give him a couple extra days off. But yeah, Sean, if he gets injured this year, you need to start having a conversation of, is this who Cade Horton is? And it sucks because I honestly believe, it's funny about Cade Horton to me, Sean, is, you see these projections from like StatCast and stuff. There's a lot of these people have him pitching an over 4 ERA on the season. I don't understand it because he was a highly touted prospect. He was a first-round pick. He was projected to be a damn good pitcher in baseball. He was projected to be at the front of rotation, an ace or a number 2. And for some reason, people just aren't buying in. And after you watch what he did last season in the second half, he looked like one of the best pitchers in baseball. He probably was the best pitcher in baseball in the second half of the season last year. And for some reason, all these people, these experts still believe that he's going to struggle at some point this season. I just don't see it, man. If Cade Horton continues to do what he did in that video you just showed, Sean, I think he's written all over him and potential Cy Young candidate.
Yeah, I'm with you. I saw some of these Fangraph projections, and I mean, Fangraphs has pissed me off on a lot of the Cubs numbers that they have out. I mean, they pretty much have Pete Crow Armstrong hitting 240. I actually, for a little bit later, when we get into the lineup side,
that's probably more realistic than Cade Horton having a 4.5 ERA. I don't understand where they're getting that. Where's that coming from?
I don't. Here, if PCA is hitting 240, the Cubs are in trouble.
No,
the Cubs are in big trouble
about it. But the thing about the thing about PCA though, the thing about PCA is we've seen him have some massive slumps where he's been a very inconsistent hitter. What word have you seen from Cade Horton, Sean, that says 5 ERA? Have you seen that? Anything from Cade Horton? Or you're like, you know what? Based on the first couple of months last season, I'm thinking 5 ERA. I don't. When he was at his worst last season, he was a 3.5 ERA guy. When he was at his worst, when he was still struggling, still learning the game, learning the major league level, he was still a good pitcher in baseball. So, and then in the second half, he was absolutely unhittable. He had at one point there was a big chunk. I think he had 4 or 5 starts with the sub-1 ERA. I don't understand where Fangraphs and StatCast and all. I don't understand where they're getting these numbers from. Sean, I'm sure they have to be kind of moderate. I don't think they could just project everybody like that. They probably have Paul Skeens at a 3.5 ERA, and they probably know that's going to be closer to 2, right? But I just don't. The hate for Cade Horton is very surprising to me.
Crazy.
This guy, to me, has all the tools. And Sean, he's young. He hasn't pitched for very long. We've talked about this many times last year. That's Cade Horton wasn't
learning.
He wasn't a lifelong pitcher. This is a guy who started pitching at the collegiate level. I think he's going to add a couple miles per hour to his pitches as well. His fastball could reach 100 at some point. I think Cade Horton's going to be one of the best pitchers in all of baseball, as long as he's shown, like you said earlier, as long as he can stay healthy, because the injuries are definitely becoming a concern for sure.
Yep. And as you said, he's got it. If he can get to that 100-mile-per-hour mark, he's got it up to 98 in the spring thus far. And as Slim brings up his changeup, that changeup is nasty, dude. Weighted on base percentage, he's allowing 163 batting average. That is unbelievable. His changeup is damn near unhittable. His 4-seamer is above average. Movement profile. He had a lot of whiffs, as you just saw, up in the zone on Monday. If he can keep that up and he can stay healthy, I think we're going to be good. And then, when we get to Shota, a guy who I still believe in, I personally love this guy. When he was cooking this week with his nasty splitter, he had a 44.8 swinging strike rate against the Angels. He threw that splitter in the zone 52% of the time. He had hitters chasing 50% of the time this past Tuesday. And as we stated earlier, his velocity right now on his 4-seamer is up 1.4 miles per hour. His sweeper is increased 2.5 miles per hour, leading to it losing 3 inches on the glove side with sweep. Shota looks like he might be bouncing back, and he hopefully, he was giving up. We were joking around a couple of weeks ago when he gave up those 3 home runs. We're like, oh, Shota's in midseason form. Maybe he's just messing around. Like, we just went over some of the best pitchers earned run averages here in spring training, and they're all above 6, 7. Let's see. I'm very happy with what I've seen out of the Cubs starters over the past week as they get ready to pack up the bags and head to the north side of Chicago. Cade Horton's picked it up. Shota's picked it up. Colin Ray had a fantastic outing as well. I believe today went 6. I believe he went 6. It was either today or yesterday. Colin Ray went 6. So the rotation, they're not allowing a lot of runs. They beat the crap out of the Brewers today. I'm very happy with where this rotation is right now, man. I could not be happier, and I think we're going to get off to a hot start. I've
talked about this many times. I don't care about the spring training numbers. I don't. And to be honest with you, I think some of these guys are kind of taking it easy in spring training because here's the problem that Major League Baseball is facing, and they never really adjusted. So Major League Baseball implemented the pitch count, which I'm totally fine with, and I think it worked out well for them. I actually kind of like it. But here's the problem. These guys are no longer getting the same amount of recovery time in between each pitch. So they're not going as far into the game. Rarely are you seeing 7 inning starts from the starters in baseball. You need to expand the rosters, man. You need to give these teams a couple more bullpen pieces because these guys, it's just not the same game anymore. If you're not getting as much recovery time in between each pitch, it's almost impossible for these guys to make it the 7th inning. You rarely ever see it. Complete games are almost unheard of at this point. You have to expand the rosters because I think that has a lot to do with the injuries that we're talking about, Sean. The injury, or even guys like Matthew Boyd who's just starting to run out of steam at the end of the season. If you're going to give these guys a pitch count and they're not allowed to spend as much time recovering between each pitch, then you need to expand the rosters and give them more pitchers on the team. I think it's something that Major League Baseball is considering. I think you're going to see it happen in the future here at some point, but it just stinks because this is all new, right? The pitch count's new. Yeah. Major League Baseball is probably studying it, seeing what's happening, seeing if the injuries are going up. I'm sure they're following the analytics, the statistics. At some point, they're going to have to make an adjustment.
Yeah. And don't worry, Jed, we got you. That's why we're here for you, brother. We talked about it at the top of the show, but I'm more than happy to go over it with you. They have not made a decision. If you listen to Craig Counsell, I think it was yesterday, he had like a 10-minute presser on Marquee. If you read between the lines, it looks like he's going to go on the 10-day IL. He'll miss. Well,
it's been announced that he's definitely not playing game 1. That has already.
Well, they did. Yeah, they did announce he's not going to be ready for opening day. It looks like Conforto's going to make the roster. He's going to go on the 10-day DL. That would be Washington, Cleveland, and Tampa that he would miss. He would return for the series against Pittsburgh if he's good to go after the 10-day IL. So we'll have to wait.
I hope it's a speedy recovery because, like Jed says here, with the loss of Kyle Tucker, Seiya's bat is going to be more crucial than ever this season for the Chicago Cubs because he is now one of their stars. He is the star they're going to have to lean on. Him and Bregman are going to be the stars this team has to lean on, especially if PCA does struggle like he did at times last year. I hope Seiya can get back to full health here soon because, Sean, we just talked about Cade Horton and the injury concerns. Is Seiya not in that conversation as well? I mean, this guy, has he had a healthy season with the Cubs since the Cubs acquired him? I don't believe so.
No. And it kind of sucks because when we do open against the Nationals here, we're going to have a big hole in that lineup. And now you're going to sit here and we're all going to hope that Matthew Shaw's hot spring where he hit 360 is going to carry over from Sloan Park over to Wrigley Field. And he's going to be able to continue to rip some hits. I really like where Shaw was after the All-Star break. I have confidence in him. And, the thing that scares me the most is we do have PCA that you're hoping bounces back. Had a rough second half of 2025. Looked great in the WBC. Looked like he was ready to tear the cover off the baseball to start the season. Then you're going to be counting on Mo Baller, who we're going to talk about in just a little bit as well. I have him in one of my categories for awards at the end of the year. Hint, hint. And then you have Matthew Shaw. And then you have the ever-struggling bat of one Dansby Swanson, who you don't know what you're going to get from week to week on him, man.
Well, I'll say it for Dansby Swanson is if Greg Counsell moves him to a certain spot in the lineup, and I don't care where it is, say it's the 8 hole, say it's the 7 hole, I don't care. If he starts to hit well, if he catches fire, leave him there, Craig. Leave him
Yeah.
there, because I could make an argument, Sean, that Craig cooled Dansby Swanson off last year, because when he moved him to, I think it was when he moved him to the 8 hole, he was on fire, lights out. He was
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. And then he's just tried to force him back up to the front of the lineup, and every time he did it, it got worse and worse. Like if he's hitting the ball at the bottom of the lineup, just leave him there. Leave him there. I don't understand what Craig Counsell is, why he has this obsession with putting Dansby Swanson in the middle or the top of the lineup. It doesn't make sense to me. If he's hitting better at the bottom, then leave him there.
Yeah, this injury, man. I'd almost say, do you put Michael Busch in cleanup now? Who goes to cleanup?
For me personally, it would be Bregman or Horner. That's what I would.
At cleanup?
Yeah.
Fourth, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Bregman. I mean, who would you put a fourth? Without Seiya Suzuki, obviously. Who would you have in the 4 hole? Don't say Hap, Sean. Don't
I'm
you
not
dare
gonna say Hap.
Don't you dare say Hap.
I hate to say it, but my favorite Cub on the team, man. You know who that is, Kyle, don't you?
Michael Busch?
Yep.
Yeah, but I'm fine with that, Sean. But I'm pretty sure Michael Busch is going to start the season as a leadoff hitter. I'm almost positive he's going to start the season as a leadoff hitter. Almost. I agree with you. I'd be fine with. I would be ecstatic with Michael Busch in the cleanup, but I just don't think that's going to be a possibility. I think to start the season he will hit leadoff. I do.
I think so too. And Boogie, Slim Boogie here has Busch, Nico, Hap, Bregman is what he'd like to see 1 through 4.
Yeah, Bregman in the cleanup. Breaking news. Bruce makes a good point. A PCA, I'd be fine with PCA in the cleanup as long as he's hot. Because when PCA is cold, man, he leaves a lot of guys on base. A lot. If you
put PCA in cleanup, you almost have to sandwich him in between Bregman and Busch.
100%.
You have to have
100%.
2 hitters in between him that people fear. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
So it's going to be very interesting to see this lineup card on Thursday afternoon.
You definitely got to have a damn good hitter behind PCA, because you can't let the opposing team pitch around him. Yeah. You can't. Yeah. You just absolutely can't. And Sean, and we don't know. Here's the problem: is we don't know what to expect from Mo Baller. We have no idea. If Mo Baller comes up here and hits 290, I think he's the guy you could put at the 5 hole if you put PCA in the cleanup. I don't know. We just don't know. There's so many question marks in this team. There's so many ifs, which is I'm fine with, because I think a lot of these ifs are going to work out well for the Cubs. I think Mo Baller is going to be a damn good hitter. I think he's kind of already proven he's a damn good hitter, and he can hit almost any competition in the world. I just don't know until I see more of it and I see it's consistent. It's almost impossible. And Sean, I promise you for a fact, and you know this as Cubs fans, we've watched Craig Counsell here for 2 years. He's going to move this lineup around a ton.
He will.
He's going to mess with this lineup for probably the first 3 weeks of the season until it starts to get more consistent.
What do you think of Slim Boogie's suggestion here, putting Ballesteros over PCA and packing up a couple of hitters in between him and getting him some good pitches to look at? Because he has had a fantastic spring. And let's be honest, his short stint here in the major leagues at the end of last year was nothing to bat your eye at. It was stellar by every stretch of the imagination.
Not just consistent, but timely, clutch. Listen, I'm Slim. I'd be fine with Ballesteros there. The only thing is, I need to see more. That's the only thing. I just can't make a prediction or projection on Mo Baller, and I've only seen 40 at bats that he's had. If he is the guy we think he is, yeah, I'll be fine with him in the middle of the lineup, 100%. I think a lot of people are just assuming Mo Baller is going to start the season in the 7, 8, 9 hole somewhere there. If he continues to look like he did last season, or even, dare we say, improve, yeah, he definitely needs to move up the order for sure. No doubt about it.
Yeah, in his 20-game debut in 2025, he hit 298, 349, and 474 slug and on base. He was what you want to see out of your top prospect. He had that big, DH. I know everyone remembers in that 5-game series against the Brewers, he had that big hit, split the gap, give the Cubs the W. I'm so high on Mo Baller. Like, I can't even tell you.
So am I, man. So am I, man. I really listen. And it's, Mo Baller is another one of those guys. If it was 10 years ago and the NL didn't have a DH spot, I would be a little more concerned over Mo
I'm with you.
Baller and his lack of defense. They really don't really have his position for him, although they do say that his defensive catching skills are getting much better. So maybe that's an option in the future. But now that we have a DH in the NL, I think Mo Baller could be one of the best players on this team. I really do.
Yeah,
Sean, if he hits the way I think he's going to hit, just with that how natural his swing is now, there's just not much to it. Very hard to screw up the mechanics. You're looking at a guy who could possibly be the DH for the NL All-Star team. I mean, I think he has that potential. I really do.
agree.
I think he has one of the best eye to bat contact, hand-eye coordination guys in all of baseball. I think he has potential to be that. I just don't know. It's just too early because we've thought about, Brennan Davis. How many times, Sean, you and I had conversation. This guy's going to be awesome. He's going to be amazing. He's going to be great. And it just, so for sometimes, some reasons, it just never works out. But I think if Mo Baller can stay healthy and he's as consistent, I think he's going to be. You're talking about a guy who's going to be a very dangerous hitter in baseball for sure. And if Sean, the fact that they're comfortable with going into the season with him as like they're basically permanent DH, that tells you a lot because Craig Counsell's not stupid. He's not stupid.
And as we look at this here, the Chicago Cubs opening day roster, this is what it should look like. Obviously, not Seiya Suzuki out there in right, but all the other positions should be filled accordingly. It does look like our boy Carson Kelly, as Slim points out, hitting some bombs in the spring. Maybe the opening day starter. I expect a full platoon between him and Miguel Amaya. And I'm going to be honest, I really hope that Amaya does enough to take that job and make it a 60-40 that turns into a 70-30 with Amaya being on the 70-plus side. I love the Carson Kelly story, and I think he has things he can do to contribute to this team. But I think Miguel Amaya, if he can stay healthy and on the field, is an absolute stud.
I love Carson Kelly as a backup, and that's what he should be. The fact that it's a 50-50 split, or I think is going to start the season as a 50-50 split, is concerning because Miguel Amaya was supposed to be your starting catcher of the future. And I think at times he has shown that he can be that. There's a problem with him. It's the same conversation we've been having with everybody else, Sean. It's just the injuries. He just can't stay healthy. If he could, when Miguel Amaya is healthy, he looks good to me. And you know what?
He's so good, dude.
Does he look like a world beater? Does he look like Aaron Judge? No, but you're not expecting that from your catcher position. I think he's a damn good catcher defensively. And I think if he can hit 260, 270, somewhere in there, which he has done at times for long stretches during the season, I think he should be your everyday catcher. And then you should rely on somebody like Carson Kelly when he's starting to get a little worn out, because we all know how tough it is to play the catcher position in baseball, man, especially for 162 days. Just sitting in that crouch alone is rough. But yeah, Carson Kelly was brought here to be a backup, and I hope that's ultimately what he ends up being. I like Carson Kelly, Sean. I have nothing against him at all. And I think, Sean, you and I, we know baseball very well. We've watched it our entire lives. I think we both knew the magic was going to run out at some point last season, right? I don't think anybody was expecting Carson Kelly to hit 38 bombs. So I don't think that was going to happen. But the way he started the season, he was on track to hit like 50. And I think we all knew that magic was going to run out. It's time for Miguel Amaya to plant himself as the starting Cubs catcher, because even during the World Series run, man, like you have the same question marks with what's the guy who shall remain unnamed, who went to the St. Louis Cardinals, and Wilson Contreras, who became a giant douchebag. You had questions about him as defensively as a catcher as well. I think Miguel Amaya is the closest thing to a true catcher the Cubs have had in a very long time.
Yeah, and I think that if he can stay healthy, because I remember last year, dude, he was off and he was running and he was looking really, really good. And then he came back. He came back for that very short period of time, looked really, really good, and then boom, gone again. And
I love Miguel Amaya, man. I absolutely love Miguel Amaya. I hope Miguel Amaya is what we all thought he was going to be. I hope he hits that ceiling. This is probably what you consider his prime if he could stay healthy. I hope he could convince the Cubs that he is an everyday starter, because I think he gives them the best lineup. I think if Miguel Amaya is in there and he's hitting 260, 270, I think that's when the Cubs are the most dangerous, because, with Carson Kelly, Sean, you're going to get really, really good stretches and you're going to get really, really bad stretches. And that's why Carson Kelly is not a starting catcher in baseball.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. And as the Cubs head home to Wrigley Field, and they're going to be bringing some unexpected bats. Chase McCormick had a solid spring, didn't make it. Does look like it's going to be Tyler Austin, Michael Conforto. They're short an infielder, and I don't know who this other infielder is going to be. That is going to have to be something that I thought it was going to be Jonathan Long. I really did, until they sent him down today. But the Cubs don't really have a backup infielder. I did at the moment that I can think of off the top of my head, or looking at the roster that's been constructed on paper. I did hear that you're going to have a rotation where your third catcher, if anything were to happen, would be Mo Baller. Mo Baller would then be splitting some time when Michael Busch needs a rest. He would be playing first base on occasion as well. But I don't see who a backup third baseman, a backup shortstop, a backup second. I don't. Who's on the roster that's a backup infielder right now? I think this
Well, I
is
mean,
a big hole.
obviously, Matthew Shaw would be your immediate backup third baseman, the Alex Bregman, because he played well at third base last
Super
year.
utility.
And I think the Cubs are comfortable with the fact that I think the Cubs believe that if Nico Warner had to slide over to shortstop, they wouldn't miss a beat. Matt Shaw could play second base. I don't think Matt Shaw would be your backup shortstop. I think you could interchange Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner, and I think Nico Horner would be a damn good shortstop if they decided to make him one. I think they're comfortable with Matt Shaw as that super utility guy, that guy who could basically play all four positions. And Sean, if you noticed, he was playing a little bit of first base in spring training as well, something they've probably considered that an injury to Michael Busch, something the way they would fill that hole. But yeah, I agree with you. Even with Matthew Shaw as that super utility guy, and I love the fact that Matthew Shaw is like the first guy off the bench for the Cubs, because I think he should be a starter in baseball, and I think there's probably every other team in baseball would love to have him. But yeah, they're probably going to have to add somebody at some point who can play the infield.
Yeah, it's just really weird. Oh, thanks, Slim Boogeyman.
Oh, Sean, maybe they're just starting. Yeah, thanks, Slim. We appreciate you, man. Sean, maybe they're starting Jonathan Long down there just to get him more bats to start the season, make sure he doesn't get cold sitting on the bench waiting. And then if at any point this season they need to have somebody up, they'll bring him in. I mean, I like Jonathan Long a lot, and we're going to talk about him later on the show as well.
Yeah, I like Jonathan Long too. And you still got Triantos and a couple of other guys. They're not going to – I don't want to, jump ahead too far, but I don't think you're going to be seeing the Jefferson Rojas's or the Pedro Ramirez's.
No,
these guys coming up this season. They're going to be definitely fun to watch as they continue to progress, because, wow, what springs did these two youngsters and top prospects in the organization, number 4 and number 9 respectively, have for the Chicago Cubs. Very, very exciting stuff for their future. And we'll get into that as we take a trip down to the farm here in just a few minutes.
There's always the realm of possibility, Sean. Yeah, how many of those guys who are still available for you, like those Brujan guys who could come and fill in for a month or so? There's still plenty of those guys out there. So if the Cubs absolutely had to, they could add one at any point.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that we're going to find out. I cannot wait for this Thursday, 11 a.m. when the roster is finalized. We get to see exactly who's on this team. We get some of these questions answered, and we get a rotation, because normally I will put together the rotation so we can discuss it for the show. But the only thing that I have at this moment is this guy right here, Matthew Boyd versus Cade Cavalli on opening day. Love the mustache on Mr. Cavalli. Hopefully he gets rocked on opening day for the Washington Nationals. But I'm going to tell you something. This guy, Cavalli, young pitcher, made his debut late in the season last year and was an absolute stud. Okay, I shouldn't say absolute stud. He showed the makeups of becoming an absolute stud. He had a 3-2 record, 509 earned run average as a September call-up, 46 strikeouts. He only walked 11 batters. He's coming back after missing 2 full seasons from Tommy John surgery, and he was announced as the opening day starter for the Nationals. And excuse me, I may have a correction. He was 3-1 with a 425 earned run average and 10 games started, 48 innings pitched, 40 strikeouts. The whip was a little high at 148 last year, but coming off of Tommy John in 2 years, man, this kid looks like he might be able to bring it. He's definitely striking out people at a high rate, Kyle. What do you think? This lineup in the Washington Nationals, this team, obviously the core of this team is still there. We're going to talk about them when we get into the divisions. You still have the Trey Turners and the who else is on the Nationals still? I'm trying to think off the top of my head here.
Trey Turner.
No, Trey Turner's on Philadelphia.
Yeah, he's on the
He's in
Phillies.
Philadelphia.
They had
I was doing.
they had that guy who was competing with PCA for the Rookie of the Year. What's his? I don't always forget his name.
Yeah, you're right.
We talked about this guy a
Quick-
million times. For
quick
some
up.
reason, I always forget his name. But that kid's an
Mhm.
absolute stud. He's still there. Listen, there are some good foundational pieces in Washington, but if the Cubs are going to be a NL contender this year, Sean, they better beat the shit out of Washington. I'm sorry, but that is just not a good baseball team. And we'll get into it when we do these divisions, but I expect Washington to be one of the worst teams in the NL. I think they, like I said, I think there's some good pieces there. I think they're headed in the right direction. And Washington is really good at rebuilding. They've done it like 5 times in the last 12 years. But
Yep.
I still expect. I think they're still a year behind, and I expect them to struggle this year. And if the Cubs really do believe that they're World Series contenders, then they need to go beat the shit out of the Nationals.
And those two guys were James Woods and the other star is CJ Abrams, the shortstop.
James Woods,
and promising third baseman Brady House. I don't know if Brady House made the roster or not, though. That's something I have to look
Yeah, but
into.
he'll play a lot this season, whether
Yeah,
he did or not. He'll still be up here. So.
And I'm with you, Kyle. As we talked about, these first nine, now you're going to be without Suzuki in these first 9 games. Should be able to return for the Pittsburgh series as long as there's no setbacks as they embark on their 10th game of the season, which will be against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cleveland, Tampa, and you guys know Cleveland's my second favorite baseball team. I really expect some serious regression in them this year. I think they overachieved last year, and I don't think that's sustainable. I think they're an okay baseball team, 500 or just below this season. And Tampa Bay, I think they're a bottom feeder in the AL East. As we get into these divisions, we'll discuss that just a little bit too. But in these first 9 games, I mean, I don't know. The Cubs should be, 6-3 easily?
At worst. At worst, man, they should be 6-3. I mean, the Cubs had a gauntlet to start the season last year, and they had a winning record. They should take it. This is I can't remember the last time the Cubs had this easy cupcake walk to start the season. They should take advantage of this, man. We all know how competitive this division is. The Cubs need to get off to a big lead because those first 3 series are tomato cans, man. I'm sorry. You should. Every team in baseball is a good baseball team. They're all full of Major League Baseball players who belong in Major League Baseball. But man, if the Cubs are who we think they are, and Bregman, you replace Kyle Tucker with Alex Bregman, and you really don't skip a beat. They can build off last year because you expect all the young guys to get better, right? Guys like Michael Bush, guys like Matthew Boyd, or guys like Matt Shaw. You expect all these guys to get better. So by default, the Cubs should be better than they were last year. They should beat up on these bottom tier teams, Sean. You expect them to beat up on these bottom tier teams and then go 500 against the teams who are just as good as them. Guys like the Phillies, Dodgers, Yankees, so on and so forth. I expect 6-3 at worst. At worst.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that, Kyle, right after we get done with the Pittsburgh Pirates, we'll be 13 games into the schedule. The season starts to pick up a tad. So we'll travel to Philadelphia, come home to face the Mets, and then, of course, we're going to head out west and take on the Dodgers, the Padres, before we come back home and play the Diamondbacks. So the schedule will pick up after these first 13 games.
So you better have a winning record before you get to that stretch. That is tough. You're basically you just named all of the NL contenders for the World Series. That's the Cubs are going to play them back to back to back.
It's going to be a tough April, man. It's going to be a fun April, though, because you know what? I expect this Cubs team to be a competitive team. I expect them to be in these baseball games against these teams. Obviously, you're going to have your bad days where you lose 10-3 or 14-5. It's just a bad day.
Or you have a game where you play that pitcher that's just on fire and you lose, or you lose 1-0 because the guy's just absolutely unhittable. All the pitchers in baseball, almost every pitcher in baseball has those days where they just look lights out. But for the most part, Sean, if you expect the Cubs to win this division, you expect the Cubs to make a deeper playoff run. I think expect them to at least. I'd be disappointed if the Cubs don't go to the pennant. I'd be disappointed if they don't go to the NL Championship Series. I will be disappointed, man. So
I'll say this: I'm with you. I still think they need a bat. I think there's going to have to be a trade at the deadline.
Yeah, but don't you expect?
Unless Mo Waller and Matt Shaw are just fucking ripping the cover off the
baseball.
baseball.
And Sean, I think if they believe they're closer to the World Series this year than they were last year, I think the trade deadline's going to look a little bit different for the Cubs this season, because I think they were starting to realize who in their farm system they consider parting ways with. guys probably like Jonathan Long or James Criantos, like you said, because I think the Cubs love their infield as it is. Dansby Swanson's not going anywhere. Alex Bregman's not going anywhere. Michael Busch isn't going anywhere. The only way you would keep a guy like Jonathan Long is if you feel like you're not going to re-sign Nico Horner. What I understand, the Cubs have already tried to do that. They're still in conversations with him and signing an extension to keep him here. I think guys like Jonathan Long, James Criantos are going to be trade assets at the trade deadline this season, and I think they can get you back some real good talent. So, or Sean, maybe Jonathan Long is that bat that you're talking about that they feel like they're missing. You don't know.
Could be. I mean, he's had a stellar minor league career. I know he got injured. His injury, I'll say this with the Cubs injury, I think his injury this spring is what prevented him from cracking the roster. If he didn't get hurt and miss time, I think he's up here right now. And I think that's why Craig Counsell made the decision today and said, hey, let's send this kid down. Let's let him get some more at bats, get him fresh. And when the time's right, we're going to call him up. He's one player I do expect to be up here at some point this year. I mean, his service time is running out, so the Cubs are going to have to shit or get off the pot. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. At this point, I mean, this is the farm system that they've been preaching to us is going to win us World Series at some point in the near future. Well, then, if that's the case, no disrespect to guys like Justin Turner or Michael Conforto, but why are we signing 33, 34, 35-year-olds if we have guys who like Michael Conforto hit 199 last year? You said, Sean, right? 12 home runs. Yeah. I think that if Jonathan Long was given the opportunity, he could probably do that, match those numbers. So why not get the guys that you've drafted and groomed or traded for, the guys who you've been preaching to us about for the last 5 years, this farm system? Why not get these guys up here? What is it going to hurt? Now, unless, like you said, like for Kevin Alcantara, I like keeping him down there because I think ultimately Kevin Alcantara is probably going to replace Ian Happ in the lineup at some point in the future. So I'm all for getting Kevin Alcantara as many bats as he possibly can at AAA and knowing that he's going to end up being your left fielder at one point. But for guys like Jonathan Long, why wouldn't he be up here and be the minor league player for the Cubs last year, minor league player of the year? Why wouldn't he be up here and getting major league at-bats? It just, I mean, maybe they're just putting down their start the season, but I hope at some point Jonathan Long is on this roster.
Yeah, and I do as well. And we're going to talk about, as I said, we're going to get into this minor league system. The last thing before we get into division winners and our awards, our preseason, our pre-spring training, pre-regular season awards is the strength of this team. And I think that some of these guys that they got in this bullpen, some of the new names in this bullpen, we talked about it last week, they're ground ball pitchers. They're going to pitch hits into the ground. And why did they do that? Because look at this defense. You have Gold Glove, Gold Glove, Gold Glove, Gold Glove. I mean, if the Cubs don't boast the best defense in all of baseball, especially up the middle with PCA, Swanson, and Horner, a two-time Gold Glove Award winner, Swanson a couple-time Gold Glove Award winner, Happ a couple-time Gold Glove Award winner, PCA I feel will win a Gold Glove at some point in his career. I mean, this defense is the strength of this club. They're going to be pounding balls, turning double plays. I really like what this defense is. I think it's the strength more so than anything else on this club. What are your thoughts on the defense of the Chicago Cubs? And by the way, last season, Kyle, before you answer that, the Cubs averaged .039 errors per game. It was among the best in all of baseball defensively, and I think they got that back again this year. Thoughts on the defense, Kyle?
Well, yeah, Sean, and PCA did win the Gold Glove last year, so he's a
Did
Gold
he?
Glove winner. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
PCA. He was almost
my bad.
He was almost what are they, a platinum glove? What do they call the next tier? Whatever he was almost I think it's called platinum or whatever. It's like the number one best center fielder in all of baseball.
I don't know how I missed that. I completely did miss that.
Yeah, it's the best defense in baseball, no doubt about it. And I love the fact that Jed Hoyer decided to add pitchers who are ground ball pitchers, because if you look at those ERAs from those guys last year, 3.5, 3.2, whatever they were, I think the Cubs expect those to improve with this defense. I mean, you're talking about Alex Bregman, one of the most consistent third basemen in all of baseball. Dansby Swanson might be the best defensive shortstop in all of baseball. And then with Nico Horner, Sean, like you said, he should have made the All-Star game last year just based off of his defensive metrics. He was the best defensive player in baseball for a majority of the season last year. This is the best defense in baseball. There's no question about it. I'd say their only Achilles heel right now, the only handicap would be Seiya Suzuki. And Sean, even Seiya Suzuki, before he came over to the United States, he was like a 3-time Gold Glove, whatever they call it in Japan, for 3 years in a row, I think, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
what the back of his baseball card says.
Yeah, I think they expected him to be a damn good outfielder as well. And maybe it's going to take him maybe it's just taking him a while to adjust to Wrigley Field. But if Seiya Suzuki can get better in right field, Sean, you're talking about one of the best defensive baseball teams I've ever seen.
Yeah, and
I've been watching baseball for 30 years. This is one of the best defensive baseball teams I've ever seen in my life.
I'm starting to really, really think too that because we're couch analysts and I played baseball up until 8th grade. I was never a professional. I think playing right field in Wrigley Field is a lot harder than most of us think.
Well, it certainly seems that way because every time we get a right fielder here that everybody says is an amazing right fielder outside of Jason Hayward, they all seem to struggle. So
Yeah.
Or Sean, maybe people just aren't used to the brick wall. The brick wall.
They get a little intimidated by the brick wall.
And then you have that awkward outlet in right field out there. I'm sure it's tougher than we think. And the wind is always a factor at Wrigley Field. So I'm sure it's tougher than we think. But Seiya needs to be better than he's been. He needs to be better than he's been. Some of them have been just fly balls right to Seiya, and he's dropped. I mean, not running towards the wall, not sliding into the dirt on the track. He's just dropping routine fly balls. He needs to get better out there, and if he doesn't, then either he's not gonna be resigned here, or he's gonna be the permanent Cubs DH in the next couple.
He misjudges balls too, man. Like he breaks in.
It's
really weird.
It's not Wrigley what the Cubs to say. I mean, maybe sometimes it is, and I'm sure there are times where he's made mistakes due to Wrigley Field and how awkward it is, especially with the wind. But Sean, a big chunk of the errors that Seiya Suzuki's made since he's been here on Seiya Suzuki. I mean, you remember the game, Sean, where he was acting like there was something in his eye. He kept doing this. Like Seiya, come on, man. Come on. And it's crazy because, Sean, we've seen him make miraculous catches. Remember, I think it was against the White Sox.
Yeah,
he caught that what would be grand slam, and he pulled that back from the stands. That should have been a home run. That should be. There's time for Seiya looks amazing. It looks incredibly athletic, and there's other time. It's another thing it might be, Sean, is remember when Seiya got here, he wasn't as big as he is now. He added like 20 pounds of muscle after he came over to the United States. That has impacted him negatively in some way. I'm sure it's helped him as a hitter, but maybe defensively it's hurting him a little bit. And that's not to say that he can't adjust to his new body style because, dude, I don't remember him being this yoked when he first got to Major League Baseball. Do you?
No.
He is a freak of nature. I mean, he is a monster.
Yeah, he is. He has gotten a lot bigger, and hopefully he just gets back and his fielding is a little bit better as we move on. Kyle, anything else on the 2026 Chicago Cubs before we pick some winners?
No, man, I'm just excited to see some baseball, Sean. I can't wait. I think I think this team's going to be a damn good team. I think they're going to be in the World Series conversation, but we won't really know until we see them all start playing together because we need to see how Bregman replaces Kyle Tucker's bat in this lineup. But I'm really, really excited for this team, and I think the future is bright.
I do too, and not to ruin the picks, but I do expect them to win this division.
As do I.
I don't think it's going to be easy. But I do think that they're going to win the division. And let's move on to our division winners. Let's start in the AL so we can wrap it up with the NL Central as we get through our 6 divisions. Kyle, AL East. Everybody has the same thing as always. The New York Yankees winning the East. Fangraphs has the Yankees, followed by Toronto, Boston, Baltimore, and Tampa Bay rounding up the bottom of that division. Kyle, I have Toronto, followed by the Yankees, followed by Boston, followed by Baltimore, followed by Tampa Bay. And if I may, people who have forgotten what the Blue Jays did this offseason, I understand they lost Bo Bichette, but they still have Kevin Gausman. They signed Dylan Cease. They have Jose Barrios. They still have Max Scherzer and Trey. Yeah, I'm gonna totally butcher this name. Savage, their top prospect and a Rookie of the Year top candidate. And you can't forget they got Vlad Guerrero, George Springer, Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk. This team is absolutely loaded. I think they're deeper than the Yankees. I think they're better than the Yankees, and I think they're going to win this division for the second year in a row. How do you see the AL East shaking out, Kyle?
Yeah, Sean, I think it's going to be a good battle, but I agree with you. I think Toronto ultimately is going to win that division. And the reason being is because I think they both have pretty much the same amount of star power, Sean, but the difference is the New York Yankees star power is never healthy. That's the difference. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton can't stay healthy for an entire season. I do like the fact that the Yankees finally decided to keep somebody there and Cody Bellinger so they can gain some cohesion and play more consistently, because the Yankees, I feel like it's just constantly rotating door, and these guys are just a new team every year. I think the Yankees are going to be more consistent than they have in the past, but I expect Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton to miss big chunks of the season like they always do, and I think ultimately Toronto is going to win that division. The only thing I have switched on is I think the loss of Alex Bregman is absolutely massive for the Boston Red Sox. And I think Baltimore adding Pete Alonso to first base over there, I think Hunter Henderson's going to have an absolute amazing season. We saw it at the World Baseball Classic. He looks like he's already in midseason form. Adley Rutschman, whatever, I think he's going to bounce back this season. I think Baltimore is going to finish above the Red Sox. But yeah, I'd say Toronto, New York, Baltimore, and then Boston and Tampa.
Well,
obviously, Tampa is going to be last because Tampa just doesn't have that much. If anything, Tampa is almost in a rebuild at this point.
I'm going to say that I'm with you 110% because I went as far. You guys know I'm laid up with this stupid foot injury, so I have a lot of time on my hands. I have I have Toronto at 92 and 70. I have the Yankees at 88 and 74. Boston at 87, 75. Baltimore 86 and 76. I mean, this was when I was doing this.
A damn good division.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was really, really hard for me to decide because of the things that you just said. You know, the Baltimore Orioles, they're a stacked baseball team too. Boston, Roman Anthony, they have a good young core, and you're right. They lost Bregman, and who was the stud they traded to the Giants? He's slipping my brain.
Who's that?
During the season last year, the shortstop they traded to the God damn it.
Oh, Devers, Rafael Devers, the third baseman.
Devers. They got rid of him. So losing Devers and Bregman is big, and it's a good point.
Huge.
Yeah, it's a good point. And when you look at Boston, early, or excuse me, Baltimore early, they have a couple injuries, one in the bullpen to Jordan Westberg and Jackson Holliday. So hopefully they can overcome that and get back to where they were 2 years ago.
Yeah, Sean Jackson Holliday really didn't contribute much his first season in Baltimore. I expect him to contribute a lot more when he comes back healthy. And listen, people can say what they want about Pete Alonso. I understand he's got strikeout problems. I understand that Pete Alonso is inconsistent at times, but you're talking about adding 40 home runs to that lineup. I think Baltimore's going to get a lot better, man. Yeah. Baltimore might be a team that I could even sneak in past the Yankees. That's a team, if I'm a baseball fan, if you guys like watching baseball outside of your favorite team, keep an eye on the Orioles because I think they might be fun to watch, man. And I absolutely love Henderson. I love him, man. That's a guy I think has MVP potential. I know you like him too, Sean. I know you have a bunch of his cards. I like Adley Rutschman. I like that whole lineunt. I really do.
Yeah, they got a good team. Their pitching will be their only question.
Yeah, and it's a question mark right now. But if it is more consistent than it was last year,
and that's a top rookie of the year candidate, catcher Samuel Basallo out in Baltimore is another guy that people have to look out for. Let's move on to the AL Central. And oh my God, Kyle, here's my surprise. I got the Kansas City Royals winning the AL Central, by 1 game over the Detroit Tigers. And I know Detroit got Framber Valdez, and they have Tariq Skubal. But I don't know what else they got. The offense has struggled.
They do. Their top prospect is an infielder for them. I think he's
Kevin McGonigal.
Is that his name? They expect him to do big things this season. So they did add a bat to the lineup. But Sean, I agree with you, man. I'm going Kansas City as well. And it took me it took me a long time to make that decision. I was going back and forth. But just with the collapse of Detroit last year, they just looked like the same old Detroit sports teams that every Detroit sports team looks like. And how the talent in Kansas City is only going to get better because they're so young and they have so many top prospects in that lineup. And then you have the always Mr. Consistent Bobby Witt Jr. I think Kansas City. I also love BB. I love their pitching staff. I think Kansas City is gonna win that division, Sean. And like you said, I think it's gonna come down to like the last series of the season to decide who wins that division. But I got Kansas City, Detroit, Cleveland, Minnesota, and Chicago.
And hint, guys. After watching, if you guys watch the World Baseball Classic, the team's players who tore up the World Baseball Classic,
Italy, man.
They all happen to reside in Kansas City.
Yeah, Italy. I can never think of Caglione.
Jack Caglione.
Yeah, Jack Caglione. And then the other guy, what's his name? The guy who actually exploded last year. Why am I drawing a blank? Help me out, Sean.
Vinny
Pascatino. I love Pascatino, man. I think Pascatino's listen. It's tough to pick anybody outside of Judge or Ohtani to be the MVP, but if somebody you can sneak into that conversation outside of Gunnar Henderson, keep your eye on Vinny Pascatino, man, because 35 bombs and 110 RBIs last year. Yeah. If you look at his numbers, Sean, he's gotten better every single year. So if he gets better this year than he was last year, if that trajectory continues, and you're talking about 45 bombs and 130 RBIs. That's the guy who's going to be in the MVP conversation for sure. And he looked like he picked up right where he left off in the World Baseball Classic, man. He carried that team on his shoulders for a majority of the World Baseball Classic. I love that Royals team, Sean. And
I do. Their rotation's good too. They picked up Cole Higgins too in the offseason. I mean,
and I spent 6 years in Kansas City, so they by default are my second favorite team, Sean, because I watched almost every single game. I worked at a bar out there for years. I watched every single game we had on TV. I fell in love with some of those players out there. Remember, they won the World Series in 2015, and then I moved here in 2016, and the Cubs won the World Series. Or I moved here right after the Cubs won the World Series. I was still in Kansas City when they won. But yeah, I loved that Royals team when I was there. Their fans show out, man. Their fans love that team. Even when the Royals aren't good, they still show up for every single game. They love that team. I love that ballpark. I don't know if you've ever been to Kauffman, Sean. It's
I want to, though. It looks
gorgeous.
Beautiful on television.
Just gorgeous stadium. One of the easiest stadiums in all of sports to get in and out of. I like the Royals a lot. I like their fan base. I like the people of Kansas City. I root for them constantly, and I hope that they win the division this year, and I hope they can make some noise in the playoffs. And I know, Sean, one of your favorite players in all of baseball is Bobby Witt, so I know.
Oh, God, I love me Bobby Witt, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you a little clue into our awards earlier. I have 3 for Rookie of the Year candidates. My number 1 in the American League is none other than catcher Carter Jensen, Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, he's on my list. He's on my list as well. And you guys, we might watch 162 games from every team in baseball this regular season. And I don't know. I think the play of the year may have already happened in the World Baseball Classic with Bobby.
That Bobby. Oh, my God. That was ridiculous, dude.
Maybe the best defensive play I've ever seen in baseball, ever. I mean, the guy is absolutely amazing.
He had like full extension. He was like 4 feet in the outfield, turns around on his knee. He didn't throw a bullet. It did one hop to first, but he was on line. And he was out.
I think it was the only throw he could make.
It was amazing.
I love Bobby Witt. I love watching him. He's one of my favorite players to watch in all of baseball. If you just love baseball and you're not just in it for whatever your fan favorite is, I think Bobby Witt's probably the most exciting player in all baseball to watch outside of Pete Crow Armstrong. And I'm not just saying Pete Crow Armstrong because I'm a Cubs fan. I think PCA is one of the most electric players in all of sports. But man, Bobby Witt is right there. He's right there. I love that guy.
I agree with you 100%. Love me some Bobby Witt, and I got some of his rookies in the PSA right now.
I love Pascatino too, man. And I know a lot of Americans are going to hate to hear me say that because Italy beat the United States at the World Baseball Classic, but Vinny Pascatino is awesome, man. I think he's going to be a damn good player for a very long time. People don't sleep on the Royals, man. Don't sleep on the Royals
this year. I'm with you, man. I like that team. As we head out to the AL West, I got everyone's pick. Everyone's picking them. A lot of people are picking them to play the Dodgers in the World Series, and I don't see a reason I could go against them. But I am going to give an argument for a team that I think could challenge them. But I'm going to go with Seattle. Right now they have a 52% chance of being the AL West front runners. That rotation of Castillo, Gilbert, and Kirby is considered one of the best in baseball. A lineup anchored by Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh, bolstered by the arrival of top prospect Colt Emerson. My second place team, only a few games out, and wouldn't be surprised, under new manager Skip Schumacher. The new era of the Texas Rangers is taking place. They got Jacob DeGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, and Mackenzie Gore anchoring that revamped rotation. And then, of course, the lineup featuring stars Wyatt Langford and Corey Seager. I really like this team. The bullpen, they have a lot of good young arms. Gerson Toretto or Tedito. I don't know how to say his last name. He's going to be their high leverage guy. It looks like the Rangers may push. They were 81-81 last year. I have them at 90 wins this year. I have Seattle at 95, and then I have Houston right below them at 85. I just think they've lost too much. Injuries to McCullers. Jordan Alvarez is obviously still a star, but one of the only stars left. The rotation lost Valdez. Eventually, free agency and losing players catches up with you. And then I'm not ready to put the Oakland A's up there yet. I like what they've done. Additions of Nick Kurtz, Jacob Wilson, Brett Rucker. Of course, the trade for Mason Miller, getting Leo DeVries there, Brandon Nett, Henry Baez, who had a pretty good spring. I like this team, and obviously the bottom feeder. Sorry, Ron. But the Angels, I just don't know what's left for the Angels right now.
The Angels have an amazing farm system, but none of them are close. That's the problem. Yeah. What's his name? Manny Ramirez's son absolutely exploded in the World Baseball Classic for Brazil. I think that guy's going to be absolute stud. But yeah, Sean, they're just a couple of years away. Sean, we are in agreement. Again, I guess great minds think alike. Not only do I think Seattle's going to win that division, but I think Seattle is going to give the Dodgers a run for the best record in baseball. I think.
Wow. Okay.
I love that team. I think, that's got to be my pick for the AL World Series contender. I mean, I think they're going to be in there. And then, Sean, I agree with you. I got Texas right behind them. Houston, I think, is always just a good competitive team. It's one of the best organizations in all of sports, the Astros. And I hate to say that because we've been caught cheating and all the stupid shit that they did, but they certainly know how to run a baseball organization over there. And then, yeah, I would have Vegas and fourth there and Los Angeles in fifth. And Texas is a team that's the most intriguing to me because it can either go one or two ways for them. Either they can have a really successful season, or all those old arms you talked about that they had in the offseason getting injured and they could end up falling behind Houston.
Yeah.
But right now, if everybody stays healthy, because it's impossible to predict injury, right now I got Seattle, Texas, Houston, Vegas, and Los Angeles. And like I said, Los Angeles is well on their way, man. I think that if you look at their prospects, actually, Sean, them both and Vegas might end up with one of the best infields in baseball when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
If you look at the prospects they got over there. But yeah, I mean, it's scary how good that team's going to be a couple of years. But for right now, I think both those teams are a couple of years out. Yeah, I think, Sean, I think Seattle's going to be a lot better than people think. And I think people already think they're going to be the best team in that division. And I think they're going to be better than that. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in all of baseball. Cal Raleigh is an absolute monster. They're paying him basically nothing. I mean, for a guy of that caliber, that was the best contract maybe in sports. And like you said, Rodriguez is a stud. I know he's had times where he's looking consistent. For the most part, he's a star. And then the pitching staff. I mean, that is a damn deep, good baseball team in Seattle they got there. Yeah. Which sucks because I hate the city Seattle. So.
and I'll say this, and you guys think I'm kidding. I am not. They have a baseball-shaped toilet with chocolate ice cream. They are selling now with a Seattle logo. It's the Big Dumper ice cream treat. I saw it. I just started laughing my ass off. I'm like, dude, this is awesome.
I'm sorry. I love Cal Raleigh. I do, man. I like him a lot. I think he's not only is he a damn good player, but I think he's a good dude too. But that is the worst nickname I've ever heard in my entire life. He literally was named he was given that nickname because he has a big ass. That's literally why he was given that nickname. Like for a guy who hits 50 home runs, 60 home runs this season, hopefully going into the future for him, hopefully. That's the worst nickname you possibly could have given your superstar.
I'm just gonna blow through this one. I hope you're with me here. NL West. I think I have the Dodgers winning 105 games. I have San Francisco 84-78, San Diego 82-80, Arizona 77-85, and then of course we have 55-107 for Colorado. I think they're going to win the division by 20 games. I mean, I think San Francisco retooled. They got some nice pieces there. but unfortunately they're stuck playing the freaking Dodgers division. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, they're playing stuck playing that division. Like, not just the Dodgers, you got to play the Padres and the Diamondbacks too. Yeah, Sean. The only thing I have switched up, obviously, I think everybody in the world knows that the Dodgers are going to win that division, barring some major, massive injuries. They're going to win that division. But I mean, the Dodgers are basically going to be the NL All-Star team, basically. The only thing I have differently, Sean, is I have San Diego, then San Francisco, Arizona, and Colorado. So I have San Diego in second. And I know they've lost some big pieces, but San Diego also has a pretty damn good farm system, and some of those guys are going to start coming up here soon too. So
Yeah.
I expect I think this is going to be Tatis' best year of his career. I think this is going to be. He finally arrived.
I just kind of did it because San Diego lost a lot in that rotation.
Sure,
they're starting.
sure. I understand why,
dude. I have them separated by 2 games, which means it could go either way, honestly.
Yeah.
You know?
And it wouldn't surprise me if you were right and the Giants were in second. But
and you want to know what's funny? We're probably both going to be right because the team behind them is probably going to be 20 games out of first place.
I wouldn't surprise Sean. Would surprise you if Arizona snuck up and finished number 2. No, not at all, because they have a bunch of talent on that team too. The only thing that brought Arizona is they've just always dealt with a bunch of injuries. But if Arizona can stay healthy, I think that's a damn good team too. It would suck to play in that division. It would absolutely suck to play in that division. Man, the poor Rockies. Like it's not like they don't have a shitty enough roster. Now they're stuck in a division where they're playing 4 of the best teams in the NL once a week. They're going to get one of those teams.
Fucking brutal.
The Rockies they're going to be competing for the worst record in the history of baseball.
Yeah, I think I had what did I say? What did I just
55? I think you said
55 wins. Yeah, I mean, I could see. I guess 57 wins. Whatever. It's not going to matter. They're going to be fucking brutal.
Yeah.
New York, or excuse me, the NL East. I got the Mets 93 and 69, followed by Philadelphia 1972, the Braves 88-74, Miami 70-92, and Washington picking up the bottom at 60 and 102. Not too far behind the Colorado Rockies. I just love the addition.
Not too far ahead of the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, not too far ahead. They're going to be an abysmal team. The key additions for the Mets here: Bo Bichette, Marcus Semien, Luis Robert. I think Luis Robert in New York, I think he's going to have a bounce back season, especially if he stays healthy. He's one hell of a baseball player.
Now he finally gets to hit with other good hitters around.
Yeah.
I'm scared of Luis Robert. I think he's going to be amazing. At the end, he's already an incredible athlete, amazing defensively. I think his bat's going to pick up a lot there in New York. I'm with you, Sean. I got New York winning the division by 1 game. I still think Philadelphia is a damn good team. I love the fact that they kept Kyle Schwarber there. I think that helps them big time. Atlanta, you never know with them because they have a good roster. They just another team.
Too many injuries.
Yep. Just can't stay healthy, man. And if that could, it's now at this point, it's become a pattern for them. So I'll put them in 3rd. I think Miami's getting better, but one of those teams, once again, that's a couple of years behind. I think their prospects still need some grooming. They'll probably won't bring many of them up this season. And then obviously Washington filling out the division there in last. But yeah, I like what the Mets have done. And I know the Mets have done this stuff in the past where they spend a bunch of money, add a bunch of studs, and it doesn't necessarily work out for them. But I think this year is different, man, because Bichette is the real deal. He is absolutely the real deal. I don't care if there's some New York curse out there, that guy will break it because he's an absolutely amazing baseball player. And like you said, Sean, I think Luis Robert finally is going to be happy to play in New York there. I think you're going to see. You're going to see it in his bat. I think he's going to be a much better player than he was in Chicago.
Yeah, and for Philadelphia, they lost Ranger Suarez to free agency. Zach Wheeler coming off that injury that ended his season earlier, which honestly,
still love that team though.
I do, and because Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler at the top of that rotation is a great 1-2 punch. They still have that heart of that lineup with Harper and Turner and Schwarber, as you stated. They added Aroldis Garcia. A little, like I said, a little concern about the pitching depth for Philadelphia. I think the Mets did a really good job at adding those pieces. I mean, that lineup with Bichette, Semien, Robert, Soto, and Lindor, that's going to be a tough 1 through 5. And then obviously we got to see Nolan McLean in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, we'll talk about him a little bit later too.
Yeah, he's going to be full-time in that rotation, and Freddie Peralta at the front of that rotation. We all know, as Cubs fans, the nightmare that guy's led to us the last bunch of years. And that Mets team's pretty solid, man. That Mets team's pretty solid.
If they're not good this year, if they're not,
it's over, baby.
Everybody needs to be fired, and the players need to stay. Everybody else needs to be fired and the players need to stay because Sean, that 1 through 5 you talked about, they're in the conversation with the Dodgers for
Mhm.
sure, man.
That's a good lineup, man.
The bottom of the lineup gets a little inconsistent, but man, that 1 through 5 is tough, man, tough. And if Robert becomes the guy we thought he was going to be when he was drafted, I think they are certainly in the World Series conversation.
Now, as we switch to the NL Central here,
Sean, but you think Owen Casey's can't lead the Marlins to win the division?
He's gonna lead them to 70 wins, baby. As we switch here, the Chicago Cubs obviously are heavy favorites to win the NL Central, as they were in 2025. We all saw how that worked out. It didn't. The Milwaukee Brewers, the defending 3-time NL Central champs, will defend their crown. I am taking the Cubs at 94-68. I think the addition of Bregman, the subtraction of Tucker still haunts me. I would have liked them both. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen. I do like Bregman with this team. His leadership he brings, the winning mentality he brings to this roster. It's something different that Kyle Tucker didn't bring to this team. So I like that. And I like that PCA I believe he's going to come into his own, as we talked about Mo Baller. I like this rotation. I like the bullpen. I think all that is better. I have the Brewers in second place reluctantly. Now, the Brewers traded away Freddie Peralta. They remain a threat. Top prospects, Jet Williams, acquired in the Peralta trade, Cooper Pratt are expected to debut in 2026, although they'll start in AAA. Logan Henderson and Robert Gasser, number 7 and 17 prospects, are in the mix as well. Brandon Sprout, their number 5 overall prospect, is supposed to start in the rotation. Fellow newcomer Shane Duran, Brewers number 25, he could figure in later into the season. Carlos Rodriguez and Coleman Crow, top 20 in their organization, also under the radar, but they're going into the season with some injuries. Quinn Priester is starting on the IL. He has a wrist injury. Brandon Woodruff will not start on the opening day roster either. So that leaves you with opening day starter Jacob Mizorowski will be starting, according to Pat Murphy, against the Chicago White Sox on opening day. Again, I like the Brewers in second place, but my bold prediction to make a wild card and maybe the Brewers don't make the playoffs, I'm going to say it. You're damn right I'm going to say it. The Pittsburgh Pirates, man. I love what they did, adding Brandon Lowe, Ryan O'Hearn, Marcell Ozuna. That Jared Jones is coming back. Mitch Keller is a solid number 3, probably one of the best 3-4 pitchers in baseball, anchored by stud top prospect Bubba Chandler, and of course the best pitcher on the freaking planet, Paul Skeens. They aggressively fixed their bullpen too. They have Gregory Soto. He's going to be their primary setup man. Mason Montgomery to pitch to lefties out of that bullpen with Soto. Dennis Santana returns as their closer. He was 32 of 38 last year. He did blow 6 opportunities. Obviously, they traded Bednard, so he's going to open as their starter. And if anything were to happen, they have this guy. We're going to talk about him, Seth Hernandez, excuse me. He's not expected till 2018 or 2028. But Jesus Christ, if you watched his spring, that guy looks like he could be up here right now. He reminds me of Jacob Mizorowski for all intents and purposes. Then with Cincinnati, I got them right after. And then right after that, we're going to round this up with the St. Louis Cardinals. Right behind, 62 and 100. This team has completely moved on from all of their stars. They do have a couple of insane prospects that we're going to talk about here in just a minute. And JJ Weatherholt and who's the other clown that they have coming up? They have another top 5 baseball guy that's going to be up here as well. So they're going to start getting these prospects, but I got them as bottom feeders, man. What do you got in the NL Central, baby?
Oh, Sean, apparently this is the division we are going to disagree the most on because I got the Cubs winning the division. I got the Cincinnati Reds behind them. I love that 1-2 punch of Green and Abbott. I think their lineup is one of the most dangerous in all of baseball. I got the Brewers behind the Reds. I think the Black Magic finally wears out. Sean, you're right. They do have some badass prospects coming up, but these guys take a while, man. These guys aren't just going to jump onto the scene and be some of the best players in baseball. It's going to take a while for these guys to acclimate to the major league level. And then I got the Pirates there in fourth and the Cards in last. The Cards have completely just burned it down to the ground and are rebuilding from scratch. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. I wish the Cubs got to play them 162 times this season. But yeah, I'm going to go Cubs, Reds, Brewers, Pirates, and Cards. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Brewers finish in second. I just don't want to pick them to finish in second because I'm absolutely done with them. I hate them. I despise them. They have surpassed the Cardinals for my least favorite team in all of baseball. I despise the Brewers. I hope the Reds can overtake them and finish in second. And then Sean, a team that I agree with you that you got to watch out for. I think they're a year behind. I think it's going to be one more year before that team starts to really, really play well. But the Pirates are going to have stretches this season where they're tough to beat, especially with, like you said, the best pitcher in the world, Paul Skeens. I mean, if they could score 3 runs every time Paul Skeens pitches, he could go undefeated.
It's very true. And don't forget, when it comes to the Pirates, Jared Jones will be coming back here.
Yeah,
he's
stud.
Yeah, he's on the same trajectory as Justin Steele, mid-May to early June. So he'll be getting back in that rotation. So we won't be seeing him. And hopefully, our first trip around the sun with the Pirates, we miss Paul Skeens too. That would be fantastic. Rookie, let's get to our division winners and get to our awards and wrap this puppy up. Obviously, we talked about our division winners, so we don't have to go there. My AL, I have Toronto winning, Texas, Boston, and the Yankees as the wild card. I am gonna go in the ALCS with Seattle versus Toronto. I'm gonna take Toronto to win the ALCS back to back. I love the hunger. I love what Vlad Guerrero. I think Vlad Guerrero is single-handedly going to lead this team. I love that dude, and he is so good. And the heartbreak on his face when they lost last year, like, man, I got to get back here next year. And they absolutely bolstered that pen. I think Seattle versus Toronto in the ALCS would be amazing. An amazing 7-game series to see. In the NL, I have obviously, what did I do with my NL picks? Where'd they go? Oh, shit. I lost my NL picks. Oh no. I got obviously the Mets winning the division, the Mets, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. Philly, I'm gonna just pick Milwaukee, I guess, and Atlanta to make the wild cards. Obviously, NLCS. I'm with what we talked about earlier, Kyle. I think it would be a disappointment if it wasn't the Dodgers versus the Cubs with the trip to the World Series on the line. So I'm going Cubs-Dodgers. I'm taking the Dodgers versus Toronto. And hopefully it's not boring for everybody, but a repeat of last year's World Series. But I'm going to go with the unthinkable and say Canada actually wins something. I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays as the World Series champ and go off the cuff and say F the Dodgers.
Yeah, Sean, I didn't necessarily pick like all my playoff teams, but I'll say this. I do think it's going to be Toronto versus Seattle in the ALCS. I think I have Seattle winning it because I think Seattle's going to the World Series. And I think Seattle can't beat the Dodgers if the Dodgers are a little banged up. But yeah, I think the NL will be the Dodgers versus the Cubs, and hopefully defense wins championships and the Cubs can find a way to win it. But yeah, you put a gun to my head. I'm picking the Mariners versus the Dodgers in the World Series for sure. And unless something changes drastically, the Dodgers are going to be a mainstay in the World Series for the next couple of years here.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the Dodgers, like we just said, they'll win in 5, maybe 6. If they do, I'm hoping that Toronto could pull it out. But if they were, that would be a 3-peat, and that would set up the lockout for the following season. So, If we go NL and AL Cy Young, I had a hard time with the AL. The NL, I think you and I don't even have to know who you're gonna pick. I'm going Paul Skeens.
Yeah, Sean, real quick for my NL, my first pick was Paul Skeens, and my second pick was Paul Skeens, and my honorable mention was Paul Skeens.
Yeah, that's about how it's gonna go. I'll give an honorable mention to one Cade Horton if he stays healthy on the season.
I had Cade Horton in my conversation. If Skeens did get hurt, so they had to pick somebody else, I think I'm gonna go Yamamoto. I think that would be. I think
Yamamoto.
Yamamoto is about to be the most comfortable he's ever been in Major League Baseball. I think he's about to have a damn good season. But yeah, Skeens, obviously, if he doesn't get hurt, Sean, it's not even a question. It's not a question.
In the AL,
Sean, Skeens could very well win 10 Cy Youngs in a row.
In the AL for me, I wanted to do a coin toss between last year's winner, Tariq Skubal and Garrett Crochet. I'm going to lean Skubal just because Skubal's unhittable. He's the AL's version of Paul Skeens at this point. I think Garrett Crochet is going to nip at his heels, though.
I actually went the opposite. I'm going to go Garrett Crochet.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I think Tariq Skubal is a better pitcher. I just think what he did the World Baseball Classic was kind of douchey. So I'm going to go with Garrett Crochet just because I like him more. And I like Garrett Crochet a lot. I mean, Sean, you know, I don't hate the White Sox like you do. I'm actually, if it's not the Royals or the Cubs winning, I'd rather have a Chicago team winning the White Sox. But yeah, I like Garrett Crochet a lot. I think he's going to be the Cy Young winner for the AL. And my honorable mention is obviously Tariq Skubal.
AL Rookie of the Year. I already gave it away a little bit earlier. I'm going to give my shout out to Carter Jensen after his September debut. We were impressed with a 343 expected batting average and a 612 expected slug percentage over that limited sample. I think over the full sample, he's going to turn out. My two honorable mentions, I mentioned one earlier, catcher, first baseman, DH, highly rated prospect with significant power potential, Samuel Basalo. And I'm going to give a shout out to the South Side. I'm going to go with Mark. How do you say his name? Murakami?
Yeah, Munetaka Murakami.
I'm giving him third. High-powered Japanese slugger with immense expectations in his major league debut. His contact rate, he's going to be really good on the South Side.
And Sean, when it comes to Rookie of the Year, you're not necessarily looking for who you think the best talent is. You're looking for who's going to get the most playing time.
And he's going to get a lot.
He is my pick for Rookie of the Year for the
year. He is.
Yeah, I think he's going to play like 150 out of 162, Sean. I think he looked very comfortable in spring training at the major league competition. I think Murakami was a great White Sox addition, Sean. You know, I said that with the second they signed him. I love that guy. He's an absolute freak of nature athletically. He's a huge dude. I think he's going to hit a bunch of bombs for the White Sox. I think he's going to give the White Sox something to cheer for. I think he ends up being the AL Rookie of the Year. But my honorable mention, Sean, is Carter Jensen, because Salvador Perez is getting old, man. And Salvador Perez has started to play a lot more first base in his career than he has catching. I think his knees are probably a little bit shot at this point in his career. I think Carter Jensen is going to rotate with him at catcher, and he's going to be their DH a lot. So I think Carter Jensen is going to get the most playing time of all the guys we're talking about. So if it's not Murakami, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was Jensen, because I think he's going to have an absolutely amazing year and just another guy who's going to help the Royals to win that division.
Well, okay. NL Rookie of the Year. The overwhelming favorite when you look in Vegas is J.J. Weatherholtz for the St. Louis Cardinals, their number 5 overall prospect. I'm going with Nolan McLean, New York Mets. That's where I'm going to go. You know, he dominated his 8-start debut last year in 2005. He posted a 206 earned run average. Now he's going to be a core member of that really stout New York Mets starting rotation we talked about just a few minutes ago. He's projected to serve as their high-end number 2 starter and co-ace alongside Freddie Peralta. And I will tell you this, he looked all of that in the World Baseball Classic. I really like this kid. My two, I have to go with Weatherholt just because of the profile, and every freaking analyst in the world is saying he's going to win Rookie of the Year. My other honorable mention, elite bat to ball skills, advanced plate discipline, all fields of power. He's going to be the DH for the Chicago Cubs in 2026. Don't be surprised if Mo Baller hits his way into Rookie of the Year contention, my friends. After a dominant spring training. Let's go, Mo Bala.
Yeah, you know I wanted to say Moises Ballesteros more than anything in the world, man. I wanted to. But I think Moises Ballesteros is going to be part of not like a huge rotation. I still think he's going to see about 80% of the games at DH. But I think they will rotate him in and out at times. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals shortstop, J.J. Weatherholt, man. I think he's going to be the NL Rookie of the Year. He's just going to get a ton of playing time, man. There's no reason to take him off the field at any point this season. They don't have a ton of other stars in their lineup. I mean, he's probably right now the only one that you consider a star, potential superstar. just based off the playing time, I think he's going to end up being the NL Rookie of the Year, which sucks because we hate the Cardinals more than anything. But yeah, Sean, great minds think alike. Again, my honorable mention is Nolan McLean. I think if the only reason I didn't pick McLean over Weatherholt is because pitchers have a much higher chance of getting injured. That's why I didn't pick him. If I didn't think Nolan McLean was going to miss time at some point this season with an injury, because I think most pitchers do, I would have picked him. But I'm going to go JJ Weatherholt for sure. And it sucks because I hate the Cardinals.
I know that's why I'm going with Nolan McLean. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I don't blame you, man. I went back and forth. There was a couple other guys on the list as well, but Weatherholt, if you first of all, he's a 5-2 player. We go watch the tape, man. Go watch the film. He's a badass. I hate to say it. I hate the Cardinals, but he's going to be. And shortstop, Sean, you know that they already have a leg up when it comes to a lot of these competitions because it's the hardest position to play in all of baseball. So if he is what they say he's going to be, and he looks like he has during spring training at times in AAA, that's my guy, man. I think he's going to end up being the Rookie of the Year for the NL.
And I know that we're gonna agree on the NL, but disagree on the AL. I'm going NL MVP, obviously Shohei Ohtani, and my AL MVP. I'm going Vlad Guerrero. I am. I'm sorry. You can hit 60 home runs and you can be a stud. And I know they're gonna hand it over to the New York Yankees guy, whatever. But if Vlad Guerrero once again leads his team to the ALCS and gets back to a World Series, this dude is the MVP. He was probably the MVP last year, and Bobby Witt was probably ahead. Home runs do it for everybody. He hit 60 home runs. Great. He hit 180.
And he is a damn good right fielder. He has one of the best arms in all of baseball, Aaron Judge. You're never safe. You're never safe on the base pass if you're hitting the ball towards Aaron Judge. Yeah, Sean. The reason I'm picking Aaron Judge is because first of all, they're the two best players in baseball. I think it's tough to argue. And second of all, Sean, I think Major League Baseball wants those two guys to be the faces of the organization. I think they love it. I think they love that Ohtani and Judge are absolutely dominating the game right now. I think they're going to continue to be MVP favorites until they start getting old. I got Ohtani and Judge as my AL and NL MVP. My honorable mention, Sean, you know who I went with in the NL. You know who I went with?
You went with Ohtani.
Pete Crow Armstrong.
Oh,
that's my honorable mention in the NL. I think if Pete Crow Armstrong could be more consistent at the plate, just based off of his base running and his defense, I think he's definitely going to be in the conversation. He was last year. Until he went through that really cold stretch in the second half of the season. But I think PCA is going to be in that conversation again, Sean. And then the AL, my honorable mention, it would be Bobby Witt. I like Guerrero a lot. I think he certainly is going to be in the conversation. But Bobby Witt's one of my favorite players in all of baseball, so he's.
I thought about putting Bobby Witt on there ahead of Vlad Guerrero. I just see that sparkle in Vlad's eye, man. Like he wants it, and just seeing him in the Dominican when he was playing on the Dominican team, like man, he's so good. Not that Bobby Witt isn't. Not that Bobby Witt isn't.
I love them both. I love Guerrero. I liked his dad. I like Guerrero a lot. I want to see the Blue Jays win something because. They really don't.
Yeah,
they don't win a lot. It's nice. It's nice to see some of those teams that have been bottom tier teams for a long time come up and start competing for championships. But I just think Bobby Witt, his skill set is defensively, he's one of the best players in baseball. Offensively, he might be the best player in baseball. I think he's definitely in the conversation for NL or AL MVP. And then, like I said, Sean, I think Major League Baseball loves that Aaron Judge and Ohtani are the faces of baseball, and I think they're going to continue to try to push that as long as they possibly can. I mean, Sean, watch the World Baseball. How many times did Aaron Judge's face show up on the camera on World Baseball? They show him every 5 seconds. Seconds. Same as Ohtani. If Ohtani's on the,
they showed a lot of PCA though too.
I swear, I've missed at bats watching Dodgers games because they were too busy showing Ohtani in the dugout doing nothing.
I will tell you, we were going to do some minor league prospects. We're going to add that to next week's show. Because I do have to put a bow on this for the evening, unfortunately. But I think we covered a lot of ground today, and I'm very happy that baseball is back. I'm very happy that the Cubs are a strong baseball team, moving forward. And I think it's going to be a fun 2026. Can't wait to get out to Wrigley, hear the crack of the bat, the snap of the mitt, the smell of the hot dogs cooking. I cannot wait because it is. I love football. Football is probably my favorite sport. Hockey's my favorite sport to see live. but for the sounds, the sights, and the smells, it's definitely baseball.
Yeah, I agree, Sean. It's tough to explain. Like it's tough to quantify. I love football. It's by far my favorite sport, but baseball just has a different feel to it, man. Baseball has like that backyard barbecue
Yeah.
bonfire feel to it, where football is more exciting and more, and it's much so expensive. It's so tough to get to games. It's more like a treat. Where baseball just feels like it's one of those off day. Hey, let's travel up to Wrigley, last second decision kind of things. I love baseball, man. I love, like you said, Sean, the smell of the ballpark, the hot. You could go to a fine dining restaurant and have a steak, and you could walk out, look at your friend, and be like, that wasn't really all that good, was it? Overhyped. I don't think it was as good as people say it is. And then you go to Wrigley and get that hot dog that's been sitting in a box for 3 hours, and it's the best thing you'll ever eat in your entire life. There's just something about baseball, man. There's just something about baseball, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't wait, man. I'm so excited. Like you said, Sean, I think the Cubs, I think the future is bright for this team. I really do. And I think if a lot of these ifs can turn to fruition, and these guys who were young guys coming up last year, like Mo Baller and Matt Shaw, if they continue to grow and get better, along with guys like PCA, you're talking about a damn good baseball team. A damn good baseball team.
And you want to know the one thing that does suck right now? We're getting all excited for baseball on Thursday at Wrigley Field, and I just looked at the weather. 70% chance of rain.
Oh boy!
Damn it! Damn it!
Over
Damn
the
it to
delay.
hell! Let's take that rain and move it
Yes.
to Friday. You know what though? The Cubs don't play on Friday, so my guess would be if they don't end up playing on Thursday, they just move the game to Friday.
Yeah, I don't know why, man. For the last 2 months, for some reason, I thought they were opening in Washington. I don't know why. I don't know how my brain came up with that.
I'll be perfectly honest. I never think it's a great idea for the Cubs to open at home. I hate that they've moved baseball into March. April's tough enough.
Yes.
To get good weather. So
it's insane, man. There's a chance these guys are playing with snow. It's just not. It's not that. Then it doesn't have that baseball feel to it.
You want to know what's really weird is baseball, and I guess baseball's a bigger sport than college basketball, but it's not. I would say bigger than the March Madness tournament, and baseball's going head to head with the Sweet 16 on Thursday. I found that to be quite interesting. They did not do that last year. This is a new thing.
Well, the good news is for baseball fans, I think after this lockout, Sean, there's a very good chance you're looking at a 142 game season, and I think they're going to push it back into April, man.
I've been asking for that for 15 years, man. I don't understand why we start baseball in March. I mean, it's going to be 40 degrees tomorrow, dude.
I know.
It's not going to be a nice day.
I'm telling you, the Players Organization, the Players Association has been pushing for a shorter season for a very long time, and I think it's coming, man.
I hope so.
Especially, Sean, with we talked about all show the injuries that we've seen over the past few seasons to these pitchers. It's just getting. I mean, these guys are just freaks of nature, man. These guys are all starting to throw 100 miles an hour. It's tough. That's 162 games is a long season.
Last year, you had the DL was an all-star list of pitchers. You had 10 all-stars.
And that's not good for baseball. It's not good for the product.
It's not. Ladies and gentlemen, when we return next week, we'll have baseball to talk about. The Cubs will have played 3 games by then, so we'll have a series, and we'll get the preview of series.
Yeah, we should have predicted our series.
Yes,
I think the Cubs are taking 2 out of 3 from the Washington.
I'm gonna go 3-0, man.
3-0.
3-0.
Yeah, you're talking about Boyd, Cabrera, and Horton. I'm gonna go 3-0, man. I'm gonna go 3-0.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-0 too. Now that you put it that way.
Yeah, you get the front end of the Cubs rotation. We all expect to be a badass rotation.
Washington.
You're playing the Washington Nationals at home. I'm going. And Sean, as much as the Cubs probably hate that weather, at least they're used to it. Not to say that Washington's much different, but I mean, the Cubs should be used to playing in this stuff.
Yeah.
And it definitely favors the pitchers earlier in the season. That's for gosh darn sure.
Yeah, for sure. And Matthew Boyd's at his best early in the season, so I think you're going to see 3 true aces just start the Cubs season.
I hope we have baseball Thursday afternoon. It doesn't say when it's going to rain. It just says 70% chance on Thursday. That kind of sucks. As it gets clear, we'll see. It's only Sunday. We got time. We got time for the weather to change.
Yes.
But the weather's going to be nice. It's going to be in the mid 60s. So at least there's that.
Yeah, hopefully it's showers. They could get the game in between some showers or something like that. But yeah, I'm excited, man. Whether it be Thursday or Friday, I'm so excited for baseball.
Yeah, same.
Cubs big time sweep. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen,
Mm.
go Cubs go. We'll see you
Go Cubs.
tomorrow on the Halital Hangover. Back on Wednesday for the Barely There. On Thursday for the Bare Minimum. And then, of course, right back here for the Northside Night next Sunday.
Yes.
Until then, stay safe. Peace and love, everybody. And go
Peace.
Cubs.
Go Cubs.